Hi, I'm Sam.
And I'm Maz.
And we're from the Vegetarian Society Cookery School, the home of veggie cooking. In our box, we have our ingredients for our bean chili. So let's have a look. We already have some ingredients out here that we've used in our tomato and green lentil ragu. Let's get the rest out of the box. So green lentils are there. Yeast extract or Marmite, so we're going to need 1 portion of that. Garlic puree we have out. Next we're going to want our spices, our yummy mild chili powder and ground cumin powder. It's going to make our chili be a chili. 2 tins of chopped tomatoes, 1 tin of kidney beans, tomato puree we have out, 1 vegetable stock cube or some stock powder. We have 1 in there, yeah?
Yeah.
And then 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar. So in your box you might find a bag of sugar or you might find sugar sticks. You should have the equivalent of 2 tablespoons. Salt and pepper to season, always a good thing. And then your rice to serve, you'll find either the ready cooked rice that we're going to heat up in a microwave, or you might find some dried rice which you'll need to cook. And then you might find other toppings to go on, like our vegan garlic mayo. Lovely. So, a couple of things to begin with. Before we start cooking, we are going to, where's our kidney beans? Here, our kidney beans. You're going to want to rinse those off and drain them and put them to one side. Then we need to get the right amount of lentils.
Yeah. So we're going to weigh our lentils out. The whole bag weighs 500 grams. We've used 120 on the ragu, and you're going to use the same here on the chili. So it's about 1/4 of a bag. So you can either do it visually, or if you've got scales, use those. So I'm pressing on my scales with the bowl on it already, and it's coming to 0. And I have the options for grams and milliliters, fluid ounces, pounds. So I'm making sure I press the button till it gets to the G. Do you want to give us a measure out? We want 120.
Say when.
Keep going, a little bit more, almost there. Just slow down when you get to the end. 12 more to go. There we go, that's our 120.
There we go, pop those to one side. So once you've made 1 batch of your ragu and 1 batch of your bean chili, you will still have just a little bit less than half a bag of lentils. And they do really well in soups or just with a bit of curry powder and some coconut milk or water to make a nice dal.
So these lentils, they come in really big sacks before they go into the smaller bags, so they can be a little bit dusty, so we want to give them a good wash first. So I've got mine in a bowl of water and I'm going to rub those, and we'll see the water will start to go just a tiny bit cloudy, and you might see a few grains in the bottom of the bowl as well. So I'm going to give that a nice rub between my fingers just for a minute or 2.
It's really important that you wash dried pulses like lentils to get rid of all of that grit and dirt.
They will stick to your hands a little bit, but that's okay. Just wipe those off, and you should be able to see already after a few seconds that your water's going a little bit cloudy. So I'm just going to continue on. I'm happy they're done now, that's enough. I'm going to drain these off. I'm using a sieve. You could use a colander, and I'm going to drain that off over the sink. You could wash these by putting the colander straight under the tap and giving them a wash that way. I prefer to do it this way because it uses a little bit less water.
Once your lentils are drained off out of this water, they're ready to cook. Like we did in our ragu, we're going to dissolve 1/2 teaspoon of our yeast extract, our Marmite portion, into 400 milliliters of boiling water. So if you don't have a measuring jug to measure that in, then if you grab an average size coffee mug, it's about 1 coffee mug full plus another 1/4. I'm going to give that a stir until it's nice and dissolved.
So that doesn't take too long. I'm just going to get our pan ready.
Nice clean spoon, no lumps in your jug of water. And then this is going to go straight into our pan. You don't need a huge pan, just a small to medium sized pan will do.
In with the lentils. So they're nice and washed, they've had their drains. And I want to get these up to boiling, so I'm going to take my heat up nice and high. The The water here we had, the kind of nice stock we made with the Marmite was already hot, so this won't take very long at all. I don't want to cook it on boiling because we're going to use that cooking liquor later on for the dish. So once it's got nice and bubbling, the lentils are starting to move already, I want to actually cook it on a simmer. So you're just going to have to stay with your pan while you're getting this ready at the beginning. Those lentils are moving nicely, steam's coming up.
It's going to take about 15 minutes to cook the lentils, and this is to soften them up so they're ready for your bean chili. We'll put the Marmite yeast extract in there to make them nice and savoury and almost kind of meaty flavoured.
There we go, loads of bubbling water. So I want to get that down to a simmer. It's a really nice, efficient way to cook. I don't want to use all that energy cooking away steam. I want to keep that moisture and just have what we call kind of a rolling simmer.
So I'm going to come back and give this a stir occasionally to make sure the lentils aren't sticking. Also keep an eye on your liquid. So the 400 mils should be enough, but if you notice that your lentils are looking a little bit dry, that water level's dropped right down, just add a little dribble more water and it'll be fine.
So we're going to keep checking on that for now and let it cook away for 15 minutes.
Our lentils have had their 15 minutes. That should be enough time to make them the right kind of texture. But if you're not sure, if you grab just one out, thank you, and give it a little squish in between your fingers, you should be able to see that it is squishable. It's not too firm, but it's still got a little bit of kind of texture to it, and that should be just about right.
So we're going to keep this liquid, this cooking liquor. It's got lots of great flavour in there that we want to use. So I'm just slowly pouring out my lentils through the sieve and catching all that liquid in the bowl underneath.
We're going to use this to flavour our chili sauce a little bit later on. So let's grab our other ingredients and start making our sauce. We have a medium-sized saucepan on a heat now. It's just on a low heat, and we want to get that pan just a little bit warm before we put our lentils in.
So we're going to build up a little bit of texture in this. We're going to add a little bit of dryness, a little bit of crisp to the lentils, and then we're going to start packing in the flavours.
We also, at the same time, want to put in 1 teaspoon of our yummy garlic puree. That's going to go in. And our spices.
So we want to give this a nice cook here to get that garlic cooking out. We don't want a harsh garlic flavour. We want it to be throughout our dish. So the chilli powder, we've got a tablespoon here. I'm going to put half in. I want mine to be a really light chilli. If you put it all in, it will be about a medium heat.
You can always add more later on. If you're really not sure, start off with half of the sachet and then cook it through, and then before you serve it, give it a little try, and you can always add some more in if you want it spicier.
The cumin, this adds a lovely balance and a slightly earthy flavour to our chilli. I really like cumin, so I'm really happy to put it all in. It does seem like a lot, but it really works within the dish.
Keep giving that a stir around, and we're going to give that about 2 minutes in the pan. And that's going to just crisp up your lentils ever so slightly and cook out that garlic a bit. That's probably about there. Next, we're going to add in 2 tablespoons of our yummy reserved cooking liquid from the lentils. That's got all of our delicious Marmite savoury flavours in.
So this is going to make sure we just get anything that's stuck to the bottom of the pan off there, any of those spices or garlic, and get that flavour all back into our dish.
And then we're going to give that another 2 minutes. Make sure you stir it all of the time, because if you don't, if you walk away, it's going to stick to the pan. We don't want that. And that's about there, that's the 2 minutes. Next, we add in all of our other things. So if you go to step 7 in your recipe, we're gonna add all of those ingredients. Thank you. 2 tins of chopped tomatoes first. This is going to be our kind of bulk of our sauce. It's going to give us the liquid, the moisture, our vegetables in there, and of course, lovely, sweet, rich tomato flavour. Then we've got our kidney beans going in, which Maz has rinsed and drained off. Then we want 1 tablespoon of tomato puree. So you've got tablespoon just there. Lovely. Next we've got going in our stock powder or stock cube as well. So make sure you give that a crumble.
This one's a bit sticky, so I'm going to take it off in small pieces and give it a crumble. It's not powdery, so it's a bit easier to do it like this. We don't want big lumps of stock in there. I'm trying to get that all the way through the dish.
Then we've got our sugar going in. Now this might seem a little bit odd, but it really balances out the spiciness that you're going to get with your chili powder. You'll find very often in spicy dishes, you've got a bit of sweetness just to balance it all. We've got some seasoning going in. So what have we got? Pepper.
I quite like pepper, so I'm using 2 sachets of the pepper we've got. Just going to go with 1 sachet of salt. Again, if you want to add some more later, I mean, this is for 4 people, so 1 sachet should be enough.
You also get saltiness from that yeast extract as well. That'll give you that salty flavour. So we're going to add the rest of that liquid in and the rest of our yeast extract portion as well. Make sure you get all of that in. So that is going to give you savouriness, almost kind of like a meaty flavour as well.
This is going to start bubbling quite quickly here. You can see it coming up. You will probably get some tomato squirting out, so keep an eye on your heat. We want to get it up nice and high to get it hot, but not to cover ourselves with tomato.
Yes, you're going to want to bring that up to the boil. It shouldn't take too long. So once you can see those kind of air bubbles come into the top and pop in, make sure that you're careful because it can splash hot sauce around. But that's it, come into the boil and then get your heat down to low.
Yeah, mine's on number 1 here. I'm going to keep a little eye on it. It should be just bubbling away nicely, not spitting everywhere, just bubbling away nicely. And after 10 minutes of cooking, that's going to be ready to serve.
Yeah, absolutely. So the 10 minutes is going to help reduce the amount of liquid in there, thicken it up, and let all of those flavours really, really come out as well.
We're going to keep a little eye on it, keep stirring it, just to make sure it doesn't stick, and keep an eye on the heat so it has nice, even cooking.
Our chilli has very nearly had its 10 minutes cooking time, and you can see the sauce has got nice and thick and it looks really, really rich and smells just a little bit spicy and very yummy. Now it's time to grab your rice. So you should have in your box, you'll find these ready cooked sachets of rice. Check the back of the packet, but mostly they will be cooked for 90 seconds in your microwave, but you need to tear a little patch first. Do make sure that your bean chilli is ready to go before you do these, because you need to eat these immediately as soon as they're hot. You can also warm these up in a pan. If you check the back of the packet, that might have instructions, but just a saucepan on low, stirring a lot, tiny dribble of water helps that as well, just to bring it right up to temperature. And then grab some plates and we'll serve out. Our rice has had its time in the microwave and our bean chilli is also really hot and ready to go. So let's serve up.
So this is a 2-person pouch. It is quite hot, so I'm just going to open up the rest of that and get half of this onto the plate here. Mind your fingers, it is pretty hot. Oh, I need a little bit more.
If you find it a bit hot in your hand, then just wrap the bottom in a kitchen tea towel or oven cloth if you've got it. Okay, now for our delicious bean chilli.
That smells so good.
It smells amazing. It's really, really lovely, very rich, full of protein, really good for you. There we go. Nice generous portion on there.
So in the box we got some mayo. This is actually garlic mayo, so it's super yummy. And I'm just going to pop a dollop on there, and that'll just, do you know what, I'm going to go with 2 dollops. That's just going to ease off the chilli flavour a little bit and add a great creaminess to your meal.
Lovely. Enjoy your chili.